Oh, Lisa. Lisa, what is going on in Alberta with the notwithstanding clause stuff, the Auditor General's report, private health care, strikes? What the hell's going on, Lisa?
Did you hear and feel my sigh?
I can
go ahead. It's okay.
I can sense it. I can sense it.
Yeah.
I can sense the pain.
A lot of pain, anxiety, worry, confusion.
We should talk about it.
We should.
Okay.
Welcome to Politics is Broken with Brittlestar and Lisa B. Canadian and global politics unspun. Are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then we'll begin.
I love that part of the theme. So, as you heard at the intro there, stuff's happening in Alberta. Alberta's going through stuff right now. They're going through things right now, as the kids say. And I want us to talk about it. And there's a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. What's going on?
It's not us. It's not that we're trying to be difficult. It's that, when fascism takes over, there are consequences to a myriad of things. And I feel like we are feeling the effects of that in Alberta. Certainly, I guess it depends on who you talk to, but I believe that there's a lot going on that is not fantastic.
Well, let's kind of break it out because there is so much weirdness happening in Alberta. And I have to add the disclaimer here, the caveat, as it were, that I love Alberta. I've been to Alberta numerous times. I always have a great time. It's a beautiful province. I've had nothing but good experiences with people in Alberta. And except for that one guy who just yelled at me, I'm going to put you on the news. I'm going to put you on the news. I was like, okay, whatever, dude. That's fine. But everywhere has those guys. It's fine.
Sure.
I am perplexed and dismayed at what's happening. But again, let's break it down because otherwise it's too much to chew on.
I'm curious from like a non-Albertan and outside perspective, like what you're gathering from all this. And I like the fact that I don't even need to look at notes. So
yeah,
let's go.
Exactly. Let's go. Exactly. Well, let's start off with, first of all, with Alberta's notwithstanding clause use in relation to transgender care. And essentially, Alberta spent the week speed running constitutional override powers again, this time to shield a package of laws limiting gender-affirming care and restricting how schools handle gender identity. The government says it's about protecting kids. Critics argue that it's more about protecting legislation from the charter. But they assume they rightfully assume the charter would have some notes about that. And it's a weird thing. So can you, I've got notes here to sort of explain what it is, but you probably can tell me better than I can read. So
on the latest usage of the notwithstanding clause, sure. So you got to quantify which one because there's a lot of them. So last year they put forward Bill 26, 27, and 29. And they have fancy names for each one of them. I call Bill 26 the fact that they don't understand what gender affirming care means. Bill 27 is teachers need to out children bill. And 29 is the UCP needs to know what's in your pants before you can play soccer bill. That's just simplifying it. But basically these bills are targeted towards trying to negate trans youth in Alberta.
Right.
And, the problem is the mis and disinformation that has continuously been spread about the fact that surgeries are happening to children, that we can't have them on puberty blockers, even though cisgendered children are on puberty blockers. It's just a whole bunch of false information. The AMA has come out and said, you guys don't really have it right, but the UCP government doesn't care. 27 is basically you don't get to choose what pronoun you would like to use. You don't get to choose a different name to be used in school. Teachers were going to need to either get confirmation from parents to use different pronouns and names, or again, basically are going to need to be outed to their parents by teachers, indicating that, whatever, Stefan wants to be called Stephanie. And there are concerns about that because it puts youth at risk, like it just does, right? Most trans youth that feel comfortable and feel that they have the support to be able to talk about these things will talk about it at home, but that's not the case for everybody. And so where school is supposed to be a safe place, now it's like, teachers could be charged if they don't follow the rules and things like that. So there's a lot going on. So when they initially passed these bills, there was an uproar and everybody was like, not everybody, sorry. Reasonable people were like, well, this seems heavy-handed for a very small percentage of the population that is under 18 and 16.
Yeah.
Okay? And so it begs the question, why is this being made such a big deal if A, it doesn't impact the majority of kids in school, where they needed to make 3 bills. But they didn't care. They were going to pass these bills. And so they did. And some public interest groups were like, no, we don't think so. Egal Canada and Skipping Stone were like, no, this is something that we're going to take on. And we believe it's a violation of the Charter and human rights. And so we're going to do what we need to do to try and make this stop. And they went to the Court of King's Bench in Alberta. They got an injunction, which basically said these bills can't pass until it goes through the court process. Okay. So it's heading to the Supreme Court of Canada. That's not good enough for the UCP. And so instead of allowing court processes to play out, they were like, fuck y'all, we're just going to introduce Bill 9, the Notwithstanding Clause, in order to pass these bills ahead. The courts be damned. And that's what they were supposed to do Monday, but it ended up happening on Tuesday.
Here's what I don't understand. And there's a lot of this that I don't understand. But here's what I don't understand is that I think I know maybe 3 individuals who are transgender. Maybe. I feel that the decision to transition is not one done on a whim. It's not one done because they're just trying things out. And it's not done for any legitimately bad faith reasons. That's what I don't understand is that the idea is that they're trying to protect kids, but that would suggest that they're protecting kids from their own bad decisions. They're protecting the parents the notion seems to be they're protecting their parents from forcing them to transition, or doctors forcing the kids to transition. And I just don't buy any of that. It's a tremendously difficult road for anyone to walk psychologically. And I think it's also a tremendously difficult road to walk physically for people to transition. And I don't think it doesn't make any sense. Like what's the point of this whole process? Because I'm not sure it's protecting anybody at all.
It's protecting the puritanical groups, the Christo-fascist groups that back Danielle Smith, because again, realistically, it is a teeny tiny percent of youth, but the impact that it is going to have on that teeny tiny percent of youth is potentially detrimental. So it's things that we've seen and heard in the past coming out of Danielle Smith's mouth, of we can't have children on puberty blockers or hormone therapy because what if they want to have babies later on? It's very much that.
Right.
Now, I always find it ironic that the people who are like, teachers need to get back to school, also don't want teachers to be able to protect the children, basically.
Yeah.
That somehow the teachers are the ones that are, forcing kids to transition or go by different pronouns. We know none of that is true. Again, doctors, experts have spoken out on like what the actual use of things like gender affirming care, which could be anything from, a 10-year-old starting puberty way too early for their body to be able to understand. Birth control is gender affirming care. Like there's so much that they grab these terms out of the sky and they throw them at people who maybe don't understand it. and it makes them go, oh, this is bad, right? And then you have, and I'm going to say it, you have token individuals that may be part of a community that are outspoken against it, and the UCP and Albertans that favor these bills believe that they speak for every person that has gone through a transition or anything like that, and that is dangerous, right? So it has nothing to do with protecting children. It has nothing to do with what's in the well-being of children. It's this agenda that they have and have had. I mean, they had my favorite, Jennifer Johnson. Fuck you, Jennifer Johnson, if you're listening.
Are the mugs and merch still available?
No, no, that was a nightmare. But there are people that have them out there. It's one of a kind.
That's a start.
No, but as a candidate had literally said, we don't care about our testing scores. We don't care that we are, high above, other areas if there are transgender youth that are upping our scores, right? It's very much that. So how is that protecting children? I don't understand it. So.
Well, I think, there's some interesting quotes here, and as you had mentioned, that the experts, healthcare experts, are all pretty much in line here with the idea that this is not a good move. This is a terrible move. It's going to be very detrimental to a number of individuals who are already incredibly vulnerable. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not trying. It's hard for me I don't want to make this. I don't want to be glib about this or cavalier about it. But I think that, again, the decision to transition is not one that you come up with on the weekend. It's not it's not something you sort of think to yourself, you know what? I think I might switch teams entirely. It's something that's inside your head that you've been thinking, I think I know why I'm not happy. I think I know why I'm not living to my best potential. I think I know why I feel like I'm heading the wrong direction. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's got to be in that process. Sure. This isn't about someone saying, I don't know, I might be gay, and then kissing somebody. Mm-hmm. Whatever. Sure. Do your thing, find out. Say, no, it's not for me, or it is for me, or whatever. That's entirely different from someone who's transgender. Mm-hmm. Entirely and unbelievably different. And as I was saying, the experts seem to agree this is a terrible idea. The Canadian Medical Association said, by taking this extraordinary measure, the government is not only restricting gender-affirming care, it is infringing on physicians' freedom of conscience, undermining their clinical judgment, and disregarding the rights of patients to access medically necessary care. And that brings us to one of the angles of this story that I get really, really upset about and I get really, really nervous about. And much like the women's rights, reproductive rights argument, is in Canada proudly a healthcare issue. Mm-hmm. It's not a legal issue. It's a healthcare issue. And I feel that the transgender thing needs to be a healthcare issue. It can't be a legal issue because the law has no place in healthcare. Well, it has a place in healthcare. That's a weird thing to say. But I mean, there's obviously places for law in healthcare because you make sure that everyone does the right thing for healthcare. But certain issues that are healthcare issues can't become legal issues because that's not how they work. That's just not how it works at all. I get angry about it. I think it's just dumb. I don't understand. Again, I don't understand the point. You're saying it's puritanical people who are really pushing it, but to what end? I don't get it.
Well,
I'm not asking you to get it.
No, I mean, I could say the reasons why I believe it is that they're trying to annihilate trans youth. They're trying to. It's very. I hate using the G word, but it's very genocidal. When you are trying to strip people of rights, when you are trying to take away care, healthcare, choice from people, you're trying to get rid of those people. And, when you say it's not something that somebody wakes up in the morning and goes, today I think I'll do A, B, and C. Mm. That's part of the mis and disinformation that they are propagating about, these surgeries that are happening to youth, without actually going through the processes as doctors and psychologists and teachers have indicated. It is an extensive process. If a youth comes to anyone and says, you know what, I'm having these feelings or questions or concerns, the amount of steps that a youth needs to go to before they are even put on a puberty blocker, which is reversible. Mm-hmm. Those are the, speed bumps to making sure that this is something that is intrinsic and not just, as they will say, a fad that you're going to grow out of, right? But this is the problem, is that when you are flooding your pressers and these bills with false information, regardless of what the experts are saying, you're making it seem like it is just a flippant idea that somebody has, and we're trying to protect them from themselves, because kids are silly, right? And we don't want them doing something to themselves, when that's not what it looks like. It's not what it looks like.
And I want to also separate the idea, like I was saying, if someone thinks, do I like boys, do I like girls, whatever, and they want to experiment with that, that's up to the individual. And that's that's a weekend thing. You know what I mean? That's fine. In the same way that I feel that this nonsense about them requiring parental opt-in for pronoun changes, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
This is the stupidest thing in the world, because it's like, it doesn't matter. I think somewhat an individual who's growing up at a point in their life where they're like, I don't know, maybe. And that's an easy way for them to try it on. Sure. Go for it. Go from he to she or she to he for a week, or they or them. It doesn't matter. Do your thing, whatever you think is going to get. If after all you're like, this doesn't feel right, then you move on. That's great. As you said, there seems to be numerous, and I would guess there'd be numerous speed bumps in the way to making any sort of serious life-altering decisions.
Sure.
And again, it's a healthcare decision. It's not your doctor's like, you know what? Did you try going by he all weekend? Good for you. Here's some puberty blockers. That's not how it works.
And I guess at the end of the day, it's like, who does it hurt?
Exactly.
Who does it hurt if someone wants to change their pronoun? At a base level, it just shows the lack of understanding, because they're always like, pronouns. Everybody has a pronoun.
Yeah.
Everybody has a pronoun, right? And you're right.
Didn't Danielle Smith change her name? That's not a real name, is it?
Her given first name is not Danielle. Danielle is her middle name.
She chose Danielle.
She chose to go by Danielle.
Did she ask her parents first?
Fuck if I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently in her yearbook it still says Marlena, but
again,
imagine like you're given a name at birth. Your parents gave you this name and you fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Okay. No, for no other reason that you just hate it. And so I'm always curious, did Marlena go to school and say to her friends, just call me Danny, call me Danielle?
Sure.
Right. So what's the difference?
Who cares?
Right. Exactly. But no, we're going to use the notwithstanding clause, not only to push through harmful law, but to say fuck you to the judiciary and the processes of taking something to the Supreme Court of Canada, because now it can't be challenged. The use of the notwithstanding clause can't be challenged. So it's so gross.
Alberta is now the only jurisdiction in Canada to ban puberty blockers for all youth under 16, when puberty happens. And as you mentioned, of course, it could be for menstruation. It could be like early menstruation. It could be for lots of different medical reasons, unrelated. And even regardless of that, it's a healthcare decision.
Yeah.
So I ask you this all the time.
And I never have an answer.
Like, what the hell's wrong with you guys?
I know, I'm sorry.
But no, what's the general vibe from people in this response? I know that we all have our social bubbles. We all kind of have our social circles. It's hard for us to see outside that. But do you get a sense in Alberta, people going, this seems dumb? Or do you get a sense of people going, yeah, this is a good idea?
I think there's a percentage of the population that's like, yeah, protect the children. But I think the middle of the road people are like, I don't get what this is, right? And that's my hope, is that more of the reasonable people in the middle start questioning the decisions that are being made, because you can start to see that if they're just going to use a very restrictive clause whenever the hell they want to, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time until it has to do with something that you care about. But no, there are a lot of, rah, fan yells around.
Fan yell's such a good term.
I know.
You should really just sell merch with that on it.
I know,
Sell
right?
to the other side.
Also,
you can learn from my capitalist ways.
Right? My God, I never thought of that. I mean, depending on where I am, I could set up the booth for, hey, you are fan yell, buy my t-shirt, or like,
exactly.
Hey, those losers are fan yell. Yeah. Yeah, I feel for so many people on so many levels, because again, it's one of those things where like, yeah, it's all fine and good when maybe you don't have children or whatever, your child hasn't come out yet. And I know the answer, what happens if it's your child? Well, your child isn't going to come out to you because you're not a safe place, number one. Yeah. But my worry is always is that if you are putting up this stance of just lack of empathy or understanding or tolerance for something or somebody, if somebody close to you is dealing with that, there could be really detrimental consequences to them. And that is the point of the rest of the reasonable people going, what does it matter? If it doesn't impact you, don't look at it, right?
Yeah.
Because regardless, we just want kids to grow up, to make it to adulthood, to make it to, the rest of their lives. So that's number one.
It's super frustrating. And, I think that it's such an asinine take to think that, we have to get the parents to approve pronoun changes and stuff like that. Cause like this is not a huge issue. This is not a big deal, whatever again, as you said, is it Marlena? Is that her real name? Mm-hmm. Marlena going to school saying, call me Danielle, call me Danny. It's like the teachers go, wait a minute. That's not on your record. We got to change. We got to contact your parents. No, of course not. They're like, whatever. Who cares? Who cares? Doesn't matter. You're still a good kid or a bad kid or whatever. You're just the kid you are. And it makes me angry because even my very limited experience as a high school teacher, I knew there were at least 2 or 3 kids who going to school was the best respite of their day. They
100%.
Were leaving terrible, terrible home situations, coming to school where they barely got by, and they didn't really want to leave at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And it's because their home lives were horrible. And if you think about someone who's thinking about transitioning and all the depth of thought that is required to get to that point, they're very vulnerable. And if they are not in a safe space, and I know it's a cliched term and people will be like, safe space. But if they're not in a position or in a good solid foundation at home, then of course they're not going to want that. It's so ridiculous. The whole, protect kids nonsense is like the suckers that get pulled into those scam charities outside grocery stores that say, we got to rescue the kids. You want to give me $10 to rescue the kids? Oh my God. Yeah. Rescuing kids sounds amazing. We should definitely do that. What charity are you with? Just rescue the kids.
Rescue the kids.
It's like, this is going to your pocket, isn't it? It doesn't make it. It just looks dumb.
And just one more thing on this one. The whole point of the pronouns and all that kind of stuff is parental rights. We have to secure parental rights. While simultaneously stripping the parental rights for parents who want to support their children in getting gender affirming care. Like, you can't have it both ways. It's either rights for everybody or no rights at all. And that's kind of where we're in, obviously, with the use of these notwithstanding clauses, just pushing shit through.
Well, things get better in Alberta as we move on to the next story. When we were talking
so much
earlier,
trauma. Okay, go ahead.
We were talking earlier about what we should talk about in this week's episode, and I was like, it's just Alberta. It's nothing but Alberta all the way down. This is interesting. Alberta's attempt to privatize lab services turned into a $109 million reminder that sometimes the free market is less market and more surprise invoice. The Auditor General laid out how a multi-billion-dollar deal collapsed so badly that the province had to buy the mess back. So basically what happened was Dynalife was contracted to provide province-wide community labs like blood testing and all that kind of stuff, I'm assuming, is the idea. Mm-hmm. And it didn't work out because of they couldn't keep up with the demand, essentially. And they were like, there's no money in this. And they basically bailed. Am I getting that right?
Close. I'm going to correct you on one thing.
Please.
It wasn't $109 million.
Okay.
That I believe is a miscalculation on the part of mainstream media.
No.
As one of my political commentator friends pointed out today, that somebody threw that in ChatGPT and it came out with 109.
Okay.
Because when you read the Auditor General's report, it's actually $125 million plus $32 million that Alberta Health Services had to pay for Dynalife assets, whatever the hell that means. So it's significantly more than 109. You want me to go into that one?
Oh my God. Well, the contract for Dynalife was valued at $4.8 billion. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Services began in late 2022. Wait times increased dramatically by early 2023. Dynalife requested termination. The province agreed. And then that was where all the money happened. And man, you guys are really good in Alberta at spending money on quacks and quackery and shitty healthcare decisions. With the whole fake medicine, or not fake medicine, it was real medicine, but questionable procurement of pain relievers for children. And this is interesting to me because I think Dynalife was the name of the company that took over a lab here in Stratford, Ontario. And I remember being reticent, is that the word? I was certainly hesitant to go to this lab when I was sent down for blood work. And I was like, it's private, but it's publicly paid. I don't have to pay anything. I guess if it's going to be more efficient, we'll see how it goes. I went down. There was a woman behind reception. There was 2 nurses working. It was great. It was in and out as efficient as you could imagine. It was fantastic. And they were lovely and they were great. About 6 months or so passed. I got asked to go down for more test stuff, and I went down, and I'm fine, by the way. Just in case it starts to sound like
you can see the concern in my eyes.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I went back for more test stuff. I went in, and there was one nurse taking blood from another patient who was also operating the reception as well. I was like, "What's happening?" And she handed me a business card for Dynalife, and she said, "Tell these guys." Because they just keep cutting our budget and it's down. They had to get rid of people and it's just down to me. And then of course, within about a year, they were gone. They were totally gone. And again, it goes back to a story of which we'll get into in for other conversations about how healthcare is truly a service, and anyone who tries to profit from it usually can't it doesn't want to try if there's no profit. So we can't do it that way. So what's your take on this whole debacle?
Conservative governments, certainly provincial conservative governments in Alberta, have always had a hard-on for privatization in healthcare. However, we're going to get it done. And this goes back, to be fair, it goes back pre-Danielle, where there was concern and, hey, we need to save money. Let's privatize lab services. And so that's what started it. And in the province, we sort of had a mix of I would call it a hybrid system where we had some private, some public. In hospitals, it was strictly public, right? Yeah. So any of those services. I remember we've had Dynalife in Edmonton for quite some time, but this was more of a South issue, right? Of we're going to get rid of the public place and we're going to put in this Dynalife and everything's going to be great and it's going to save us a ton of money. Except there were a lot of issues that happened. And so this, over the course of, the years of trying to develop it, and then the NDP came in and the NDP was like, hey, we maybe need to work on fixing this. We have a plan. We're going to have a centralized hub. Everything's going to be great. They started working on that. And then the election happened in 2019. And when the UCP got in, they scrapped it. So flushed $35 million down the toilet. And then, as time went on, this became their focus again. What we discovered in the Auditor General's report, which is, I highly recommend people go read it. It doesn't matter if you're from Alberta or not. I think everybody should read it. And even if you don't want to read the 48 pages, there's these brown boxes that kind of summarize. So many shenanigans and fuckery. Just documents missing. The Auditor General puts a disclaimer at the beginning of, we didn't have everything that we needed to do this report because things have just gone missing somehow. But this crosses over, I'm going to say 2 premiers and two or three health ministers, where it was just hey, we need to save money. We'll put an RFP out. We'll narrow it down. Oh, wait, there's a pandemic, so we can't use that place from Australia. So I guess we're going to stick with Dynalife. Give us a plan. They give you the plan. There's no savings in the plan. They go back to Dynalife and say, we're going to need a plan with savings. So Dynalife did a plan with savings. No way to execute that plan.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
And then a whole bunch of stuff started happening. We had COVID. And so obviously that, added extra strain onto healthcare and things like that. But it just there was no savings. They didn't account for things well, if you're now transferring employees from the public organization that you're getting rid of and transferring them into the private organization that you're putting them into. They had to go to the labor board. The labor board said, you're still on the hook for the collective agreement. You got to pay things out like pension. You have to pay the wage. You have to do all those kinds of things. None of that was in the plan. Nobody asked the question. And so as things were rolling out, there was no savings of money. And at the end of the day, Dynalife was like, hey, Alberta government, we're going to need more money in order to do all the things you want us to do. And the Alberta government was like, we're not giving you more money. And Dynalife said, okay, peace out.
Sure.
But people in the interim had to wait so long to get blood work. So where it would take you like a few days, maybe a week to get an appointment to go in, depending on what it was you need done, right?
Sure.
I remember it was walk-in. You would just walk in and, wait a little bit and you'd get your blood taken. Then you had to book appointments, and then the appointments needed appointments. And so it went from like a few days to a week to 5 weeks minimum. And clearly for a lot of people, if your doctor is sending you for blood work or an echo or anything like that would be done here, you probably need to get it done quickly, right?
Yeah,
like that could have serious
sure
repercussions in your health down the line. And the Auditor General's report said that there were misdiagnoses or missed things because of the wait times. But this is all because the UCP were in a rush to privatize something that didn't need to be privatized to save money with no actual plan that showed it was going to save money. Got rid of documents if they even occurred, because there were a lot of side meetings, backroom discussions, and ended up having to pay out all this money only to go back to the public provider who fixed the mess like that.
Well, let's treat that topic as an appetizer debacle to the main course debacle.
Worst appetizer ever.
It's no mozzarella sticks.
No.
That's for sure. But this segues nicely into the next thing I want to talk about, which is Alberta's private healthcare expansion, the dual practice plan. Alberta is floating a new 2-tier-ish health model that would let doctors work in both the public and private systems. The pitch, of course, being will increase capacity. And critics are countering with, this is how you lose half your doctors to the private side and end up treating them with a broken leg with a TED Talk about resilience. It's essentially the idea being that it's going to allow doctors to practice both publicly and privately at hospitals and private clinics. The government is suggesting it's going to reduce wait times and attract investment. Physicians must complete a quota of public work before offering private surgeries. Okay, so there's a lot here. I get, of all the things that get me worked up, healthcare gets me worked up the most.
Yeah, I like it.
And here's the thing, from my cold capitalist heart.
Okay, Elon.
Tell
us what you...
There's been lots of examples of government mismanagement, poorly running services that need to be fixed. And I understand that. And right from I remember being in my, late teens and going to the post office here in town and seeing the post office. It was a lovely big post office. And everyone was just behind the counter doing nothing. Like, even as a teenager, I was like, these people are adults. They should probably at least pretend like they're working, but they're doing nothing. And sure enough, they closed down the post office not long after that and went down to postal outlets and stuff. And I missed the post office. But I sort of felt to myself, I was like, people are stupid. We had this amazing thing going, and now we don't have it anymore because of essentially there was like taking advantage or taking for granted. And I can understand, but don't agree with the allure of privatization. This common misconception, this myth that if you privatize something, it will get better. Because it can. They're correct. It can get better. But business in the absence of competition has no reason to get better. Business, by definition, relies on increasing your profit. It relies on making a profit. And if you're not making profits, there's no point in having the business. It doesn't make any sense to have the business. So usually what happens is, something will be privatized and it'll get really great for the first little bit. And then the people who are waiting for their money that own the private services will be like, well, there's no money in this. This is stupid. Let's just cut back. Let's keep cutting back. Let's keep cutting back. Take a look at the Via Rail system as well. Let's keep cutting back. Let's keep cutting back. And eventually it's unusable and it's garbage, even though I love taking the train.
Yeah.
And I wish I could do it more, but I can't.
Well, you can, but you can only sort of go like this far.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're willing to travel today. You can leave at 2:00, and the next train back from your 4-hour destination away is 4:00. And I understand the allure of that myth, the privatization myth. But anyone who has an ounce of sense and has been on the earth for longer than a day realizes that if you offer to your doctors, listen, you can do what you're doing, or you can do private and get paid more. What do you want to do? The doctors, good conscience doctors might be like, you know what? I'm sticking with public. I'm only going to do public, and good for them, as the public system will get more and more underfunded and will get shittier and shittier, and they will be carrying way more than they can possibly imagine. And then they'll be either forced to give up or forced to go private anyway. Mm-hmm. It is another asinine, I love the word asinine, another asinine thought process that thinks that is like, I can't understand how anyone, again, like I said, who's been alive for more than a day is not looking at this going, well, this is going to be terrible. It's like, just look at anywhere else with two-tier healthcare. The public system always suffers.
The thing that drives me nuts about this whole thing is that, like, you really have to kind of break it down. So when we're talking about doctors, like, I have to sort of make it smaller. So we're going to have to talk about GPs, because doctors in general, there are doctors who work for hospitals, right? So in Alberta would work for Alberta Health Services, Covenant Health, what have you. But GPs, so your general physicians, are business owners.
Sure.
Okay. So they have their offices. So in essence, they already are private, right?
Yeah.
But they're contractors, really. So then they bill the province and the province pays them. But because we don't have to pay them. But then if you're talking about like real private, where yes, it's a business for this doctor, but Alberta Health isn't going to subsidize anything. So you're going to have to pay directly out of pocket to this doctor. That is a whole next level of business, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, like I've had my doctor, thankfully, for like 100 years.
Yeah.
I know you won't listen to this. But I'm constantly in fear of getting that call of like, I'm retiring, peace out.
Yeah, sure.
And when I go see him, because I've known him 100 years, like we chat about stuff, right? And he talks about like, it's not only the pressure of seeing person after person after person with like a 12-minute time, because you can only bill in blocks, and it's all this other kind of stuff. But it's then the whole running of the business, right? Paying of your support staff and your rent and all that other kind of stuff. So if you had the opportunity, and there are private doctors in Alberta who do different things, but what she's talking about is the ability to switch back and forth. So I'm like, you're publicly funded, but you're private health curious. And so if you have to do X number of hours publicly to get the ability to do private, my worry is that if you have to see 20 people a day publicly paid, so you can see 10 people a day privately paid at your own pay scale.
Right. Yeah.
Are you going to take as much time with the people that you're seeing publicly? Or are you just going to try and rush them out so that you can get to your other?
Well, no, I think that's human nature. I don't think that means they're bad people.
No, it's not bad. But that's my worry, right?
Yeah.
It's bad enough already. We have signs in doctors' offices saying you can only bring one issue per visit.
Yeah. I mean, this you're going back to your point about saying how individual GPs are essentially self-employed. They're businesses. And they bill the government. If I lived in Alberta and I went to my doctor and I said, can I get an appointment? And then my doctor, and I live in a small town. So when I say I get an appointment, usually if it's something urgent, they'll be like, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you in a few days, whatever. If it's not something urgent, they'll schedule me for a couple weeks down the road.
Sure.
If I want to get seen, I'd be like, listen, if I happen to be Alberta after this private healthcare dual practice plan kicks in, I could be like, you know what? Can I pay an extra $100? $100 little hundo, maybe? That maybe get me in today, do you think? And it seems like a ridiculous exaggeration of it, but that's essentially what's happening, which is no good.
Yeah.
And I used to get into a lot of Twitter back and forth with people. Well, I didn't really get in that back and forth too much. I don't like to dialogue with the unwashed.
Oh my God.
But I would get people chirping at me when I'd ever make a video about public healthcare, because I'm a big believer in public healthcare.
Yes.
I think it makes sense for any country that's a market economy. We need everyone in the market to make it work, as we've talked about before. And the response I would use to people would be like, well, I need to get a doctor. I should be able to choose my medical services. Like, listen, I guarantee you that if you and I are up for the same doctor, I will get seen first because I will pay more money than you.
Fair.
Is that fair? No,
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's not
fair,
triaged.
but that's a fair analysis of what would happen.
Which is insanity. It doesn't make any sense to me. And this nonsense where they said Alberta government apparently argued that it will reduce bottlenecks and surgical backlogs. With what?
That is their go-to. It has been their go-to since at least even before that, when we had Jason Kenney, that any of these changes are somehow going to miraculously fix whatever needs to be fixed that they broke. But my worry is, okay, so let's pretend that doctors, that we can find doctors, and that, for small town or rural Alberta, if they're going to open a practice and do this like little half and halfsies, when they max out on their, I need to see public people, and it's only now private. If you're in this small town, does that mean you have to wait till he or she has a public opening to get an appointment? Or you're going to have to pay out of pocket, which you may or may not be financially able to do. Or you're going to have to potentially drive into the city and find a Medi Center that can take you on a walk-in. Like, they keep saying that they're not restricting services, and they had this healthcare promise of no Albertans ever going to have to pay out of pocket. But you are restricting services by creating this tiered system, because it just widens the divide of who's getting service and when and how. And the quality of service is also the question for me, right? Because if I was a stodgy old capitalist and I've been working as a doctor and I'm still paying my student loans, I'm still doing all that other kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, if I got to see 10 people and then I'm free and clear, I'm going to rush through those 10 people. I'm not saying doctors are bad and they're not going to do their due diligence, but like, it already is an exasperated system where, again, you have one issue you can bring to your doctor, and depending on how you're explaining it, they're going to be like, well, just, drink more water, get more sleep, and, come back to me in 2 weeks, so that they can see more of their out-of-pocket people. That's like, healthcare is not the economy. Like, you know what I mean? It is a service, like you said. It should be accessible by everybody, for everybody. And this is just a disaster. And I mean, anytime they have said, privatization helps, like with lab services, with surgical care centers, now with doctors, nothing has gotten better. Nothing has improved. Well,
yeah, I think exactly it. I think if there's room to make profit, there's room to make public better. That's what it all boils down to. There's certainly some aspects of, as we said at the beginning of the conversation of this segment, that, mismanagement, bloated operations, for sure. I can understand that. That needs to be remedied in other ways, apart from privatizing. You just need to say, this isn't working, we need to fix this. We need to do what we're doing, provide the service to the public in a different way. But as your point being about, rural doctors, I made a video one time about saying, private healthcare is great if you are a healthcare provider in a large affluent market. It is not so great if you're a healthcare provider in a small flatulent market. And it's that idea of, I'm not saying, and I don't think either of us are suggesting that if you're a doctor or a GP or something, or a surgeon in a smaller rural community in Alberta, that this is going to make you go, I can't see patients anymore. I'm going to move to Calgary. I'm going to move to Edmonton or whatever. I don't think that's going to be the case. However, I do think it's going to make new doctors, new surgeons go, where do I want to locate? Do I want to bust my ass in some backwoods rural address in Alberta? Or do I want to coin it in Edmonton instead? I mean, it's their lives. They get to choose the best path.
And rightfully so. And I mean,
absolutely.
Again, I think doctors generally go into practice because they want to help people, but sure. Everyone wants to get paid too.
Yeah. And you can pay me enough money to be a general physician.
Oh, no. The stuff that they have to put up. No.
Oh my God. I remember going into an appointment with my mom and my dad for my dad. And I remember he had to take his socks off and the doctor just looked at me and I was like, oh God, I'll take them off. It's fine. It was horrendous.
Oh yeah. It's not good. It's not good.
As the Canadian Medical Association said, of course, where a parallel private healthcare system operates, outcomes and access are worse. And that's pretty much true. And everyone points to look at, they're doing a great job in Denmark. It's not the same system. They're doing a great job in Sweden. It's not the same system. It's not the same idea. Plus, also, our system is good when it works. And we can make it work. It's a choice, I think, for Canada to decide to make it work.
I mean, if I were the feds, I would be like, okay, so you want to do this. So we're going to take this percentage away from your healthcare chunk that we give you because you're not going to be paying it. It's going to be coming from taxpayers. Yeah. And then in turn, Alberta should reduce the amount of taxes we're paying because those taxes aren't going right back into healthcare. But that's not going to happen.
No. And I hope that doesn't happen because I think that'd be bad for the people of Alberta. I think what needs to happen is the government just needs to say, the federal government has to come in and say, no, you can't do this.
Again, catch-22, because if the feds do, holy war for all the people that are separatists. But I am begging Sean Fraser. Sean, my man. We need to get rid of this notwithstanding clause. Okay? If we can work on that, that'd be great.
I hope you're standing on a chair because he's very tall. When you whispered that.
I'm a loud talker. I can reach up to the skies.
You can project.
Exactly.
Well, let's finish off with a little, we'll touch in on some other fun stuff that's happening in Alberta because it doesn't stop there. Again.
It's like pulling the handkerchief out of the sleeve.
It's a clown car, as it basically is what's happening. And again, I do have to state that I love Alberta. I've had nothing but good times in Alberta. My heart, I'm pained by what's happening currently. And I don't understand why it's happening. And I don't understand why it's being let to happen. So healthcare workers in Alberta are preparing to strike, joining a year already featuring a teacher strike and several rounds of labor tension. At this point, Alberta's labor relations file is basically a montage of picket lines and press conferences. The political equivalent of, it's fine, everything's fine. So 16,000 hospital workers issued strike notice. Does that sound right to you?
Nursing care.
Nursing care, hospitals, long-term care homes, any involved at all? Unsure.
I'm trying to think.
Unsure.
Okay.
Picketing might start on November 22nd. Does that sound right? Why? Well, it's wage stagnation, staffing shortages, and poor working conditions seem to be the main issues. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I think if you're on the right side of history in Alberta, you own a lot of red clothing because we've had to wear red a lot to support the variety of different people. And the latest is, yes, it's nursing care with Alberta Health Services because we have to understand that there are a lot of different employers within our province, all negotiating at different times. This is the one that's the spotlight right now. They've been negotiating for well over a year. My understanding is they've done the mediation, they've done all the things, and they just were too far apart. And so a few weeks ago, I think it was, there was a strike vote where, their bargaining committees, the union reaches out to its membership and says, hey, what are you willing to do? Do you vote yes or no for a strike vote? And so I think of 76% of the nursing care members that responded, which is that's a good chunk. 98% of those said, yeah, fuck it, let's walk.
Right.
Which is a big decision for anybody to make. I don't think anyone takes a strike vote lightly because it is impactful, right? Not the same as doctors, but I always say, nursing staff, healthcare workers in general, nobody goes into it to make money. You go into it because you care about people.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be compensated fairly. And so there was a strike vote. I think they kept trying to bargain. I mean, the goal is always to get a deal, not to have people go on strike. But yeah, so I think it stalled. and strike notice was served, 72-hour notice. So unless an act of God happens, nursing care staff will start picketing on Saturday.
So if nursing care staff and teachers are all striking the same year, it's roughly 1 in 3 public sector employees in major service roles engaged in labor action. To me, that sounds like things are coming to a head. I don't know what the head is, but it sounds like there's such a disparity between the provincial government, the Alberta provincial government, and the people involved in this. And the outcry for healthcare, the outcry for services and gender affirming care and all that kind of stuff. It reminds me of, I think we talked about this briefly about how I'd been to the States recently, and people would do the Trump head swivel and be like, things aren't good here, and they'd be too scared to talk about it. And help us exactly. They'd be too scared to talk about it. But then the more people that I talked to, the more people did that, and I thought, you're all doing it. The majority of people are all saying the same thing. Yeah. And it makes me think the same situation's happening in Alberta, and that I think there must be some disillusioned UCP voters who are like, what the hell? What's going on?
I think so. I think the teachers' strike brought this type of issue to the forefront where you really couldn't, ignore it. And then, and it's like there's a variety of different unions in this province right now that are bargaining in a variety of different sectors. And, the nursing care staff that are potentially, knock wood, I don't know if I'm knocking wood for them to go out or not to have to go out, but, right. Because I hate it. I hate it for members that have to strike. I hate it for, patient impact, but God damn it, I love it for the cause. But there's other unions. There's a lot going on, and there's probably going to be a lot that comes in the next little while with other unions and things like that. But I mean, it's one of those things where I think workers are saying, yeah, I went into this profession because I care and I want to do and I give of myself, but I need to be compensated fairly. Mm-hmm. I need to have certain things recognized that are not working in our healthcare system. Just like teachers, there are things in their schools that were not working. And, when you're sitting across from the employers at a bargaining table, they don't care about that because they're not in these work environments, right? So it's just words. And instead of going, tell me more about this, we need to understand what's going on. I believe it to be just a flippant, well, you're just greedy, right? And that's what they put out to the members of the public. We had Nate Horner saying, well, yeah, I don't have a problem paying healthcare workers. I just don't want to pay them the best. That's basically the gist of what he said.
I do remember that quote and I know you're paraphrasing, but I remember that quote, and it was fascinating to me because it was from, I'm going to say asinine again, an asinine place, because it was very much the sentiment was I want to get the best. I want to get them a real deal on those guys. I want to make it real cheap. I want to get their services real cheap. That was somehow going to endear him to anybody.
Right.
And I didn't understand that at all. It's what are you talking about? You're not buying a car. You're not buying a Kia. What's the deal here? Doesn't make any sense.
This is a Gremlin. This is not a Kia. But that's that they say things like that. So with such cavalier finesse, throwing it to the wind, just tells me they don't understand what's happening with frontline workers in Alberta. Mm. And I mean, there's so much for nursing care. I mean, if you've ever been in a hospital in Alberta, you will understand. There's a lot going on, right? It's not just the money. It is the money, but it's not just the money. There's so much other stuff that comes into play. And this government is, they're experts at trying to pit one group against another group and, for their own benefit. And I think that there's a little bit of that happening. But we will see. I have faith in healthcare workers. They don't put up with a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm. Well, they technically do put up with
they do.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we'll see what happens. Like I said, if something miraculous happens and they don't have to walk, then kudos. But if they do have to walk, then we'll see how this government deals with it. And if we're going to be on number 5 of the notwithstanding clause.
So to finish us off here, do we have hope at all for Alberta?
I think there are a lot of people that are talking. There's a buzz. We have those recalls that are happening. You know, what happens with those, we don't know. But the fact that people have initiated this, that teacher initiated that petition in Calgary to, public funds only for public school, not private. Like, people are starting to say enough is enough.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do something so that somebody hears what I'm saying. And I haven't seen that in Alberta before, really, like to this extent, where it's like grassroots kind of stuff. And that's the one thing that the other side is good at, is grassroots movements. So I'm hopeful that there'll be enough noise to eventually do something.
When are elections?
Again, Sean, I'm going to need you to come in. Theoretically, when are elections?
Yeah.
October 2027.
All right.
Supposed to be in May, but she bumped it to October because fascism.
Right. Well, all I can say is thank goodness that we here in Ontario have a stable, sensible, sane provincial government. And I can't wait to take the new tunnel under the 401.
I hope that I can at least help people not feel as badly about where they live and who their premiers are.
I think that's very selfless of you. It's good.
I'm a giver.
That's right. That's what they say about you. Exactly. Well, hey, listen, thanks everyone for listening and or watching the podcast. What's it called? Politics is Broken. You can find it at brittlestar.com or your favorite podcast platform. If you're a paid subscriber, thank you very much. Hope you enjoy the video. And otherwise, spread the word, share it, all that kind of stuff. There is, of course, as you will have maybe perhaps seen, a brand new series called Entertainment is Broken with Richard Krause and Sarah Hanlon. You know Richard Krause at all? You're familiar with Richard's work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was good. And do you know who Sarah Hanlon is at all?
Yes.
You're just saying that, I think.
The face, I had to look it up. The face I know, obviously. Yeah. I don't know people's names. I'm busy.
Big Brother Canada winner.
Yeah.
But the first episode is exciting and lots of fun, and they both absolutely love entertainment, the entertainment industry, of all kinds of entertainment, which is really fun to listen to.
Awesome.
So I hope you guys enjoy that as well. It's much like their show is about entertainment, and they both know a lot about entertainment. And somewhat like our show, you know a lot about politics, and I'm also here.
I feel like theirs is a little bit more lighter, more fun.
Less Alberta, probably.
Yeah, less Alberta.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. We'll see you next week.
Have a great week.
You've been listening to Politics is Broken with Brittlestar and Lisa B. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to check out brittlestar.com for more.